Hey all, and welcome back to Fuzzy Dutcher Gaming and a new video on the channel going over some of the changes we're going to see in 3.25 that I'm excited for and my build plans for the new league. I'm also going to talk about how much I plan to play this expansion and how I'm going to tackle the first week. I'm not going to go into too much detail about the patch notes as there's lots and lots of specific changes and it would take absolute ages to list them all and go through them. So I'm only going to go through the parts that excite me and then go into the skills I want to test in the new league. So let's start with the league mechanic. This is a big deviation away from normal POE league mechanics, and it's something I'm really excited about. Just to give you an idea about myself, I'm the sort of player that will start a game in something like Fallout 4. I'll be 100 hours into it and I won't be halfway through the campaign because I'm too busy making my bar and my settlement look really cool, getting people in, making sure I've got all the right decor and everything. It's a part of games that I really enjoy because you can just get lost in it. It's nice and easy. For those that haven't checked out the reveal, I 100% recommend you do it. There is just a ton of new stuff in this league that I can't cover in the video. But in short, this league sees us building a city from the ground up. We're going to use tradesmen to mine materials. We're going to trade shipments. We're even going to get people to run maps for us. It sees the return of recombinators and some new powerful endgame weapon crafting. It also sees what is possibly the best quality of life ever received in Path of Exile, which is unlocking waypoints as you walk past them. I'm obviously trolling. We can now trade currency on an exchange market, which is absolutely insane for people that just need to buy alterations or they need to buy fusings. You no longer have to go through and ping about 200 people with whispers. You can set it up as an auto trade. They will remove the currency from your stash that you're offering, and what you're buying will automatically go into your stash. It just looks really, really nice and comfy. You don't even have to hang around in your hideout to do it because one of the NPCs manages those transactions for you. People may not be aware, but this is for anything that stacks. It's not just currency like alterations, fusings, regals. You can use it for delirium orbs. You can use it for divination cards. Anything that stacks, you can sell on this exchange. So it is going to cut out, I would say, 70 to 80% of your trading. Instead of having to do it manually, you can do it in this system. It does require gold, which is a new currency, but from the trailer, it doesn't look like it costs a lot. It's more a token thing so that people can't just do it for free and set up bots that don't have gold and do trading all day long. I'm also really looking forward to some real-time mechanics. It's not something POE have done before. It's very MMO stroke mobile type thing where if you want to mine stuff, it is timed. So it might take 40 minutes to mine a specific material. You can then improve that by upgrading things or getting in better workers. Same with when you send your shipments off, they take a certain amount of time. And same with when people run maps for you. But it is something that you can queue up. So let's say you wanted to do 3 things that took 2 hours each. You can queue them up, off you go to bed. You get home from work the next day and all that stuff is already done for you. And you can come back to lots of materials or lots of loot. So the main continued teaser throughout this week has been dead melee totems appearing in every single teaser that was released. And as expected, they have confirmed that melee totems are now dead, and to make up for it, they're buffing pretty much every melee skill in the game. I'm not sure it's going to be as powerful as people are thinking because there are things that have been nerfed that really help melee. So Rage, for example, no longer gives speed, which is massive. That was a big contributor to you attacking really, really quickly. Berserk has been nerfed as well. That doesn't provide the same buffs. And also all of the flat damage pretty much on every melee gem has been removed. So if we take something like Frostblades as an example, the percentage damage has been buffed a lot, but the flat damage has been removed. Now, the buff does outweigh the flat damage being removed, but when you look at Ancestral Totems and then War Chief being removed along with the flat damage, it is going to see a buff, but I think in some cases it's not going to be massive or game-breaking. One thing I am pleased to see is introduction of the nodes on tree to reduce your mana cost. Now, yes, there is obviously an opportunity cost that you're going to use passive points, but it might make your build feel much smoother. Inspiration looks like it's been changed, so it's not going to give us a bigger reduction as it did before. So you're still going to want your Elrion jewelry for an attack-based build, but it may be that you either need a bigger mana pool or you need to spec into some reduced mana cost nodes to be able to kind of spam the skills like we did before. It's also going to really depend on what support gems you've got. If you've got 3 or 4 very heavy support gems that are like 140, 150%, you're going to see some massive mana cost for your attacks. That is going to shock some people when they're used to maybe seeing 12 mana cost and then mana cost 40 and they're attacking really, really quickly. These are things that you're kind of going to need to look at for whatever build you want to play if you decide to tackle melee. So there's one big thing to talk about, which is the loss of my beloved Raider. People who know my channel know I love League starting Raider because it's just such a comfy experience, but I do 100% agree with their decision to remove it. It is amazing early on. It comes with so much stuff built in that's difficult to get on a budget. But once you get into the second and third week, Raider doesn't offer anything as an Ascendancy because pretty much everything that you would want from a Raider you can get on gear. Yes, there are obviously opportunity costs and that sort of thing, but you don't want to be relying on an Ascendancy to give you stuff that if you got better gear, you could just get for free. So it's been replaced with a class called the Warden, which looks interesting. I think it looks weak on the Tincture side, but it looks pretty decent on the Elemental side. But I can't see me personally League starting this because I don't think it offers you very much out the box. A lot of the things rely on status effects. To get them on, you need to crit. So it is a build I'm definitely going to look at as my second build, but I don't think in any way I would consider League starting Warden, but that's just my opinion. There's some nodes that we need to see whether they're good, like the Shock node, which reduces your max shock per hit to 2%, but it allows you to stack 50 shocks. So in an ideal world, you can get 100 shock on an enemy, but you need to hit them 50 times. So you really need to be scaling attack speed to be able to do that. And even though the increased damage is nice, if you're scaling attack speed at the cost of damage, then is there a difference between just getting to 50 shock? But the Elemental nodes, for me, look really interesting. The Tincture side, not so much, but it's certainly something I'm going to look at as a second build of the League. So overall, I'm really, really excited to get stuck into this League. I love city building mechanics. I love just being able to do lots of different things that aren't part and parcel of just standard Path of Exile, because most people are going to get bored of the base game if all you're doing is one new league mechanic that you get bored of after a week, and then it's just the same map in the same bosses. This opens up lots of different avenues to do different things. It also gives people more option to just have a bit of downtime in Hideout, where they can be sending out shipments, they can be crafting, their map runners can be running maps for them. Just opens up lots of opportunities for people that maybe don't just want to grind really solid, just constantly burning maps. They want to do something a little bit different. In terms of my plans for the League, I was planning to start Lightning Strike, but the patch notes I think are wrong for Lightning Strike, because it's basically been nerfed into oblivion. I think what's happened is they've just copied the patch notes from Vaal Lightning Strike, which is about half the damage of Lightning Strike anyway, and they've just transferred that across to Lightning Strike. All of the numbers are wrong on the patch notes. The numbers that they say it existed before are wrong, and if it goes live in the state that it is in the patch notes, it's going to be the worst melee skill in the game. So for now, I'm avoiding it. If they change the patch notes and it turns out it's been buffed really heavily, it may be something that I decide to go with. So what we are going to do this League is we're going to stick with the same structure as last League. I'm going to run Champion, going to run 2 Ichimonjis. I'm going to try and scale Aura Effect, but this time we're going to go Smite. This skill looks quite interesting to me. I really love the skill anyway. I like the mechanics of it. It just doesn't quite hit hard enough for me unless you're running some sort of, strength stacker, or you're getting tons and tons of lightning damage scaling. As a starter, it just didn't hit hard enough, but the damage has been buffed a lot. So the gem used to max out at 273%. It now maxes out at 488%. Now I've tested League starting Smite last League and it almost made the grade, just not quite. With this increase in damage and the fact we can get more defenses on the tree, I think this could work out really well. But it is just a build that I want to run. It's going to get your Atlas clear, should do your pinnacle bosses, but it's probably not going to scale much further without a lot of investment. I'm using this build to farm lots of currency so I can then get my Warden character set up and start really testing some fun elemental skills on Raider. I am still going Champion. It has been nerfed quite heavily, but the key parts that make this build work are still there. We still get the 30% increase aura effect, we still get the adrenaline, and we still get Fortify, albeit it's 15 Fortify instead of 20. We do lose stun immunity, which is actually pretty massive. We lose some flat armor and evasion, and we lose some pretty decent attack speed. So losing that node is going to hurt. The other problem with Champion is there isn't really a fourth Ascendancy that I would take for this build that's good. You would most likely take the Taunt because you get slightly reduced damage on yourself, but it's not a game breaker. I guess what it means is you don't really have to worry about Uber Lab until much later because it really doesn't give you much extra power. I think it's a build that's going to be really fun to level with the changes to quality, with the fact that it looks like we can now gamble for items early on. I'm just going to level the same way I did last League, but instead of Lightning Strike, I'll tweak the build so that it's Smite. So that's kind of my plan for builds. It's going to be Smite Champion and then maybe Wild Strike Warden. And then from there, who knows? I'll just see if some crazy interaction comes out or some silly craft that you can put on weapons that just make some builds tick. Now, I've got a very busy weekend at League start, so it's a 9 p.m. start for me, so I'm realistically only going to play for 3 hours and then go to bed. I am out Saturday, and then Sunday I'm going to be back on it, and I'm off Monday and Tuesday to make some more progress. Normally, I'm getting my Atlas clear in a day or two. That's definitely not going to happen this time because I'm just not going to have the time to play. So I want to play a bit more casually this league. I want to really concentrate on the league mechanic, and I don't really care if I don't get my Atlas clear in the first week, as long as I'm enjoying and figuring new things out in the league mechanic and making enough currency to make my build work, I'm happy. So the reason I've picked the build I've gone with is super cheap. It's probably like 20 chaos and the build will get you Atlas clear realistically. Then I can worry about doing other things. Don't have to invest in that build anymore. It should just about stretch to Uber Order and Maven. If not, there's things I can do to improve it so that it can do that content, get my void stones, and then I can start to work on the second character. So what's coming on the channel? There'll obviously be a build guide for my league starter, which at the moment I think is going to be Smite Champion. There will also be a video coming along with it for my Atlas tree and my farming strategy. This is probably the most important part of progression and earning currency, is working out a strategy that works for your character. And in all honesty, I think the best way of picking a league starter is firstly pick the mechanics you want to do, and then look for a build that suits that. You need the two to complement each other. Otherwise, you're not going to have much fun if you've picked the wrong mechanic, and you certainly won't be making a lot of currency. So for me personally, whenever I look at a build, I look at firstly what I want to do in the first few days of the league, what content do I want to do, and what type of builds suit that content. Because there are some builds that may be great for some people who want to boss rush, but for me that wants to go into mapping, that build might be horrendous. So it's really important to make sure that the league strategy that you pick matches the build that you start with. Video out showcasing some builds or skills that I think look good, and I can give links to those and explain why I think those particular builds are good, but I'm not sure yet. Outside of that, I'm not going to stream. I've streamed every month at league start, but then I fall away because I just don't have time to stream. And it is a lot of hassle to set it up, and I don't feel like it brings very much. I would much rather spend that time making better videos, bringing out more regular videos, and just helping out the YouTube community as much as I can. You still probably are going to see me on Twitch every now and again, but I'm certainly not going to devote time for it. I just might jump on if I feel like I want to play for 4 or 5 hours in a row, you know, want to chat with some people might want to come on and get help, then I'll jump on Twitch. But realistically, 95% of my content this league is going to come from YouTube. So we'll wrap the video up there. I do want to say it's fun to be back. I've taken quite an extended break from Path of Exile because I just really wasn't enjoying the Necropolis League, but I'm super pumped for the new league. The fact I haven't even touched the game in like 2 months, I'm actually excited about doing the campaign, which I would not be doing if I've been grinding and grinding and grinding, testing league start runs, still playing the old league. I would just be like, this is another day. I just want to get through the campaign. But now I'm quite excited to get jumping in and just starting. So before I sign off, I will say if you do find this content interesting and enjoyable, please consider subscribing and giving it a thumbs up. It really helps with visibility for YouTube. Until next time, thank you very much. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.